Here on the Grand Prix Gear Up, ahead of round 4 of MotoGP in 2024. It's an iconic one that is always circled on race fans' calendars, the Spanish Grand Prix here at Jerez. And it's Jack Appleyard and Simon Crowfarb to preview everything that we can expect, all of the big storylines coming into the weekend. And it's a good question. Where do we start, Simon? What a Grand Prix last time out.
Got to start with thank you to our staff for putting that video together.
Yeah, brilliant.
It was quite emotional to watch all the action, and they caught, you know, what they could of it in the time we had.
Yeah.
It was pretty damn good. And I got to say, I'm so happy for Aprilia. They have deserved this sort of result for a while. You know, the bike's been good enough. Yeah, they had some hiccups, you know, in Portimao and things like that, but they've really deserved this sort of result. The machine is good enough. The whole package is there, and Maverick showed it, and it was super.
Showed it in some style as well. As Matt Burt said on commentary, the perfect weekend, the hat-trick for the Spaniard. Pole position, sprint victory, and the Grand Prix as well. We've said it so many times. We all know Maverick Viñales has the talent. There's arguably only one, maybe even two better than him on the grid. He has got a God-given speed out there. And finally, it all came together for him with Aprilia.
Yeah, and if I had to guess, you know, watching him and Maverick over the years, I bet his staff saw it coming from Wednesday, you know. The swagger, the confidence, the probably because he's got more and more confidence in his bike. They've found the setting, Portimao, but it'll be really interesting to see what happens from here, whether he can keep that. If that sweet spot they've found on the bike that makes him happy and gives him that confidence, if he can, I would love to see him keep the roll going.
It's not his first Grand Prix win, of course. He did make history, becoming the first man in the MotoGP era to win with 3 different manufacturers. First with Suzuki, then with Yamaha, now with Aprilia. But given the fact he had to come through from 11th on that opening lap, is that the best win of his career?
Well, normally, you said exactly what I was thinking. To come back from 11th, I don't think anyone expected Maverick to do that, because the modern Maverick has, as soon as he's got beaten up like that in the early laps, he's never come back from it, you know, I mean, in recent history, you know, and he did. He was the best guy on the track. He did it looking so smooth and in control, so fast, and yeah, wonderful to see. And when you said about a different riders better than him on the grid, I think Maverick's ability is as good as anyone on the grid. His natural ability is unreal. It's just putting all the rest of it together to give him the confidence.
And the emotion poured out while speaking to our Spanish broadcast partners at DAZN afterwards, thanking his wife, thanking his 2 young daughters at home, as he always does whenever he's given the opportunity. And it was difficult not to feel emotional for him as well, because we've stood here countless times and said what a great guy Maverick is. And it's so nice to see one of the good guys finally get some reward for all of the hard work that he's put in.
Yeah, we've said that repeatedly, what a nice fella he is. It's because he really is. Every time you see him, if he's not already doing something, he's got the time to say hello and say it genuinely. You know, I had the pleasure of traveling, I think it was to Indonesia last year, or Thailand, from Barcelona, on the same plane, same lounge, and had a good catch up, and came away just, it was a reminder of, and he wasn't going great at the time, just how nice he is, you know, like, and he's just, he's uncomplicated to talk to. I'm sure he's a complicated character, but he's just what you see. He's genuine. He listens to you, lovely fella. And I agree. I was emotional to see him ride like we know he's got the ability to do. Everybody does, you know.
You're right in what you say. What you see is what you get with Maverick on the surface, but we've stood here before, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of fans at home that know Maverick as a bit of an enigma, given everything that has happened in his career, some tumultuous times, first in Moto3, then with Yamaha, of course, as well. And we've stood here and questioned whether he still had that burning desire, that hunger to go out and do what he did in Austin. So how much did it surprise you, and how pleased as well are you to see that that fire is definitely still there?
Oh, the sprint, you know, the pole, wow. The sprint win, I was like, bang on. I didn't expect him to do the main race win, you know. and especially after the first turn, I thought, it's gone. And he proved us, everyone that thought that, wrong. And like I said, I just hope he can keep the roll going. And it'll be really interesting to see if he turns up here with that same confidence.
That's the thing. Just finally, on Maverick, now that he's got the business done in Austin, is this weekend almost got more importance that we see him back it up? Because we've seen it time and time again that he might have that standout weekend, but he wasn't able to back it up and have that consistency to really mount a championship challenge. If we are to take him seriously as someone that is going to fight for the World Championship this year, how important is it that we see him right at the front here in Jerez?
Okay, taking on your question, I would say that it's not important that he has another win or even fighting for the win. It's important that he doesn't fall to bits, and get no points. If he can get a good, top 7, 6, he'll keep the hopes alive. And just, keep, because that's what you got to do at the tough ones. Everyone, that fights for a world championship or especially wins knows that's what you have to do. He has got a good record here. He's been fast. So has Aleix. The Aprilia has been good here in the past, and they were last year. So the thing that I hesitate to say that he needs to come out, and it's super important to go bang and do it again, is it is for a lot of people on the grid. That same thing, and everyone knows this track really well, so it's probably one of the most competitive races on the calendar. Everyone knows it very well, and from through all the classes, and then they come testing here, so the manufacturers know it. The level here is extra high, so don't expect your favorite person to win, because it's not going to be easy. Whoever does, hats off.
And don't be surprised on Friday evening in P1 and then also in qualifying if the top 3, the top 4 rows of the grid are split by less than half a second. It is ultra close around here. We'll touch on some of those riders that need a big weekend in a moment. There is a long list of them. First up, though, let's touch on the World Championship leader, Jorge Martin. Certainly wasn't a weekend to write home about in Austin. 3rd in the sprint, just missed out in the Grand Prix, not finishing on the podium for the first time this year. However, comes here to ref with a 21-point championship lead, which, after only 3 rounds, is quite a nice cushion, a nice advantage to have.
Jorge, a lot of people will forget that, and I like reminding them, he turned up to this class, pole position, remember, Qatar. He was brilliant. He got taken out by Pecco in the race, but turned up and did the same sort of thing in Austria. Was brilliant in his first season. And I want to say to the people that are, comparing Pedro to nobody, you've got to remember what Jorge did. And it was amazing in his first year. He had a really average 22, was it 22? Yes. Because of that the machine changed and it didn't work for anyone really that had it. That's complicated, we won't go into it. But anyway, he bounced back, and what I saw him do from 22 to 23 really impressed me. It showed me he learns, he's clever, he's not just super fast, he thinks, and now I think we've seen that again from 23 to 24. He's stepped up another level again. He's a big danger man for the championship.
Is Austin an example of that step that he's taken from 23 to 24? It was obvious.
And he didn't throw it away.
He wasn't the fastest man out there that weekend. Victory wasn't going to be on the cards. And he just went, OK, 3rd and 4th will do this weekend.
And he put some good fighting in there. You saw when he put the hammer down at the end and couldn't beat the opposition at the time. He stayed on the bike and, like I said, get the points. And that's how you keep fighting for the championship. And I think the old Jorge would have kept fighting until the crash or the success.
As he did in qualifying. 2 crashes then, which I think still shows that there's still that emotional nature to Jorge. He does wear his heart on his sleeve, and sometimes his head can get his heart can get the better of him. But it was certainly a positive weekend, and certainly one that we haven't seen from Jorge in years previous. So everyone is chasing the Spaniard here on home soil, of course, for Martin this weekend. His closest rival at the moment, Enea Bastianini, who seems silly to say, but despite being second in the championship, I feel has gone under the radar so far this year.
Yeah, he really has. It's odd when you look at the championship standings, doesn't it? Because it doesn't fully reflect what we've seen, who's the most competitive. I think that's how I feel anyway. Anaya was the old Anaya second half of that race in Texas. He had the speed. It looked quite obvious for the win. If he'd made less mistakes, and made a better first lap, made a better start. I know it's all ifs and it's part of the race, but let's see if he can start getting those things right, qualifying, then first lap, start and first lap. He is one of the very best second half of the GP.
And it was fascinating seeing these two, Enea Bastianini and Jorge Martin, go toe-to-toe in those closing laps, because as we all know, there was more at stake there than just third place.
Yeah, and also Mark, we saw earlier that when there was three of them together, it was some hard fought and some, what's the word, some grudges there, between those three for different reasons,
It's all bubbling away quite nicely, and you do feel as though we might see a few tensions rise as the season goes on. So those are the top three men in the World Championship, and the three men that are going to be speaking to us in the first of two press conferences. Next up, let's talk Marc Marquez, shall we? So close to that first victory under the Gresini colours on the Ducati before crashing out. He said afterwards it was a brake error that he was having to deal with throughout the duration of the race. His crew chief, Frankie Carcetti, said the same as well. Mark, normally, from years gone by, is often the first to hold his hands up when it's rider error. So, just how frustrated will he be if it was the case and it was a brake issue that caused him to crash out and, quite obviously, steal him of a huge chance at victory?
Well, there's different ways to look at it. Mark was fast. He was going really well. He was in the fight. It's his circuit, and I wasn't surprised to see him fighting there. I don't think anyone really was. No. The young man he's next to here, I was surprised, but we'll come to that one. Mark, we're on the lap. He's fought to the front. He said he had to try and get to the front, and he was dealing with brake issues. He said in his debrief, which I got listened to, that he, for a few laps, few corners, he was grabbing the first pull on the brake, wasn't there. I've had that. That's horrible, because then you've already gone past your brake marker, and your second pull can sometimes be a bit panicky, scary. The thing is, you have to run wide. You can't just make it up. Meaning because the bike won't stop. You're past your brake marker, And if that's what happened, I've got to sympathise with him. Then he'll be angry with himself that he didn't just run wide, because he lost those vital, like I said, top 7 championship points in the GP. But there's also a little bit of me that wonders if the brake error did happen, because crashing like that with the two young fellas is very embarrassing if you didn't have that, So I have no idea. I would love to see the data and then go, oh, yeah, look at that. It was the brake, but I haven't. So until I see that, I can't say that it definitely was.
Issue or not, mentally, how much of a blow would it have been to have Mark to move away from Austin, having not taken victory in either the sprint or the Grand Prix, as you say, knowing that is his place?
Yeah, huge. I agree. The thing is, Mark has been really realistic, and knowing that, the 24 machines have made a step. They do have a bit of advantage. The riders on them do have more experience. And he still knew there was a couple of guys out there faster. I think the disappointing thing for him will be to walk away without, like I said, just to repeat, is those sort of top 7 points, because you're keeping the hope alive. You can't afford, he knows better than anyone, you can't afford to lose those points. But you're also he was fighting with someone who has never ridden a GP bike around there, so it depends how you look at it.
But Pedro Acosta, as we're going to get on to, on Mark, just finally, you do feel that it's a matter of time. It's coming, that first win with a Ducati. Equally, you feel it's coming with this man, Pedro Acosta.
You know what? I think, this is only my gut feeling, I came away from the GP going, that window for Mark is closing.
Really?
Because, I mean, yes, he has so much knowledge, so much determination, which I love. His hunger, you know, which every sports person needs to succeed. He's got ample of it. It's part of the ingredients that's made him so successful, as well as his ability. But he said it, and he's dead right. The younger riders are faster. It's trying to use your experience to beat them, and that what I'm saying is that window is closing because they're getting experience, you know, and they're faster. There's only a certain amount of time left.
And you feel that that window is closing as a result of a few riders, but most prominently Pedro Acosta. It seems ridiculous to say, Simon. I want your thoughts on it. From speaking to people after Austin, ahead of Austin, and here today in the press centre, round 4 of 2024, is this kid the favourite to win this weekend?
I definitely wouldn't say that because it just, I hate putting pressure on him. And look, from the very start I've tried to play it down because I do not, this is the only reason, I don't want to see him get hurt.
Yeah.
And what I've got to say about Pedro is I understand and believe how fast he is because it's part of amazing natural ability, drive, he's clever, he is fast, it's wonderful, and it's totally believable. The fight, the overtakes, they're believable. The lack of crashes, to me, is not believable. It's unbelievable, you know, because I'm always nervous for the really fast young fellas when they come in, and because one nasty crash can set you back 12 months, you know, and a lesser half a season, you know, etc. And that's not what but the lack of big mistakes he's made in the fight with the very best in the world has astounded me.
And I think that's a valid point as well, because the man he's fighting with there, Jorge Martin, had that exact scenario, a huge crash at Portimao,
yes,
which he did feel took him 6-9 months to
yes,
really recover from, and
yeah,
for him to become himself again. So obviously, it goes without saying, we hope that's not the case with Pedro Acosta. But the reason I say is he the favourite, because you look at the form book from last year and the KTMs were magnificent around here. And at the moment, he's by far and away the best KTM out there.
The thing is, he shouldn't be the favourite. It's just unbelievable. So would I like to see him win? Yes, very much. But I'm sorry, I don't want to yes, I think this is the best opportunity coming into a race. He knows this place so well, but so does everyone else, you know. So, it's a huge thing to put on his shoulders. Like I said, whoever wins this weekend, hats off, because it's going to be very, very difficult.
Expectation, I'm sure, on the shoulders of Pedro Acosta from the thousands that are going to be here in attendance on Sunday. Pressure on the shoulders of the two guys in the orange side of the box as well, in Brad Binder and Jack Miller. They had a great weekend here in 2023. Brad taking victory in the sprint, then just finishing behind Pecco in the main race. Jack with a pair of podiums to his name as well. Boy, do those boys need a massive weekend here.
They sure do. And the thing that you've reminded me there, sorry to swerve back to Pedro, but it's involved in this, is that Pedro hasn't been doing those amazing things like I've seen before from a young rider coming into MotoGP, because they have a teammate that is showing them the setup they can copy, learning off. Pedro's been doing it alone, leading the way, choosing a different tyre. That's truly amazing. And that's why this man we're watching on screen right now, Brad Binder, must really feel the pressure to step up. I mean, I think we can forgive him. I listened to all the debriefs from Kota, and it was quite involved one. It sounded like the team went the wrong way on the first day. He took a lot of coming back from that. He had a broken toe, a bone in his foot going to his toe. By the way, I bumped into him. That's fully recovered now. He can walk normally. So he said it was very hard to brake, use a rear brake, and he uses that a lot. Look, I'm not making excuses for him. Well, I am, but what I'm saying is I think we can forgive him for Kota, but not for much longer. That's why the pressure's on both those KTM teammates.
I put it to Pit Byer on Friday in Austin, just how much of a test of character this year is going to be for Jack, and mainly for Brad as well, because Brad for so long now has been the main rider. He's been the key man down at KTM, and suddenly there's a real power struggle there, and it's a power struggle that, if things continue in the way they are, he's starting to lose.
Look, how important we're all seeing, how important is it for a manufacturer to find a superstar, a young superstar. But these young riders don't have habits. They just come in, and I know we're talking about Brad and Jack, but they come in, they were those riders at one stage. They come in and they're a blank page, and they just absorb everything and get the most from what they've got. It's so refreshing, and I want more riders to have the opportunity. I know it's Eldiger next, but I think we need more. We need more of these riders that just the new blood. I know I always say it, but it's true. They raise the level. So Jack, I still hope that we're yet to see the best of Jack this year, and I know it's too late, and I would have liked to seen it from first, second race. I think it's there. Let's hope. Brad, he's going to come out swinging.
Yeah, we know that is what Brad Binder is all about. We talk about big weekends, as we've just mentioned. Big one for the 33 and the 43, as it is for the number one as well. Pecco Bagnaia has had some very good memories around this place, back-to-back Grand Prix wins, and you feel he needs another one this weekend.
He was top of my list when I said there was a list of riders that need a result here. I think Pecco is top of that. I know he can get away with, again, a reasonable finish, and there's nothing wrong with that. Championship-wise, it's a long way to go. But I think he will really be feeling that I want to be one of the fastest riders, like I always have been until very recently. I think he'll be feeling it a lot here, and he's got an awesome record here. He's been fast pretty much. I mean, all the recent years he's been wonderful around here. So let's see.
What are the big issues he's facing with at the moment? Because he wasn't the fastest GP24 in any of the races in Austin, neither in Portimao as well. I know there's been a lot of talk about the vibration, the chatter from the rear wheel. It seems at the moment that it's taking longer for Pecco than Jorge Martin or Enea Bastianini to really get dialed in with this new machine.
Well, that is traditionally the case, remember? Meaning he turns up amazing at figuring out the bike in the beginning, but last 2 years, wherever we go, Pecco has taken longer to find the sweet spot. Like he often has a scary Friday, risky on Saturday, he almost doesn't get through. We've seen that for quite a few years, and I think this could be part of the same thing, meaning not yet found his, sweet spot set up, which is unbelievable after watching testing, because he was a level above. Yeah, in Qatar. Look, I also believe one or two results in this year were technical hassles holding him back. So I think I'd give him a bit of leeway there. But either, that aside, including that, he's going to want to come out and do something impressive here.
Well, I think over that last half an hour, we've listed, 9, 10 riders that all could fight for victory this weekend?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Jerez is really like that. And the thing is, you don't get a rest around here. It's very hard on the front tyre temperature, especially if you're in the group. There's nowhere to have a rest. It's just, it's brutal, So, and everyone's so good. Like I said, whoever wins, amazing job. They really would have earned it.
Right, great to be able to chat through all of the key storylines ahead of this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix with Simon. More for us to come as well after the press conference. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of time there to touch on what is going to be a very, very important official test on Monday as well. Sounds like a lot of new items coming for both Honda and Yamaha, of course. They have concessions this year and they're looking to utilise them as well. We're testing ahead of this Grand Prix, the pair of them were, so we could well see the fight back start this weekend for both Honda and Yamaha. But our focus ahead of this, the Red Bulls, no it's not, it was last year, it's now the Estrella Galicia 00 Grand Prix of Spain, and our first press conference is with the top three in the World Championship, Jorge Martin, Enea Bastianini and Maverick Viñales, hosted as ever by Matt Burt.